There are things that happen inside a baseball stadium that the scoreboard will never capture. The Dodgers had just won 6 straight. A streak that had the entire league watching, adjusting, and quietly worrying. The numbers were clean. The wins were decisive. And on this particular night in Philadelphia, the Dodgers had done it again, walking out of Citizens Bank Park with another victory tucked under their arm. 6 hits. 1 home run. And a moment that had nothing to do with the final score. But this story doesn't begin on the field. It begins in a tunnel. Dim lighting. The smell of concrete and grass. The sound of cleats fading. That in-between space where the game is already over but the night hasn't fully ended. Where players walk with helmets in hand and jerseys still carrying the sweat of 9 innings. That is where it happened. That is where a 6-year-old boy stood next to his father, wide-eyed, and came face to face with the greatest baseball player on the planet. And what happened next is the reason you're watching this video. Let's go back to the game itself. Because context matters. And because what Shohei Ohtani did before that tunnel moment tells you everything about the kind of night it already was. The Dodgers came into Philadelphia riding momentum. 6 consecutive wins. Not the kind of hot streak that sneaks up on you, the kind that announces itself. The kind where the opposing dugout starts watching your warm-ups a little more carefully. The kind where pitching coaches stay up later than usual reviewing film. And leading that charge, as he has done all season, was number 17. 3 hits on the night. 1 home run. And in the 6th inning, a moment that most people watching already knew they were witnessing something historic, his 700th career RBI. 700. Let that number sit for a moment. In the long and storied history of this sport, only a small group of men have ever reached that number. Names etched into the fabric of baseball. Names that children memorize before they fully understand the game. And now, on a Tuesday night in Philadelphia, with the crowd still humming from the crack of the bat, Shohei Ohtani joined them. The ball cleared the wall. The stadium reacted the way stadiums react when something real just happened, not the polished kind of noise from a routine play, but the kind that rises from somewhere deeper. The kind that happens when people aren't sure they're allowed to feel what they're feeling because the moment seems too large for a regular season game. In the Phillies dugout, they watched. Kyle Schwarber, one of the most respected players in Philadelphia, one of the most feared left-handed bats in the National League, stood near the railing. He has faced great pitchers. He has been part of great teams. He has played in games that mattered enormously. He knows what excellence looks like from the other side. He watched the ball land. He said nothing in that moment. What was there to say? The Dodgers won. The details of the final innings are almost secondary to what this story is really about. Because after the handshakes, after the coaches gathered their lineup cards, after the stadium began to empty and the lights started to dim, something happened that no television camera fully caught. Kyle Schwarber had brought his son to the park that night. This is something that players do. They bring their kids to the stadium, let them sit in the family section, let them feel the electricity of a major league night from somewhere close to the action. For a young child, even a loss can feel like the greatest night of their life. The grass. The lights. The sounds. The proximity to men they have seen on cards and screens and jerseys hanging on bedroom walls. Schwarber's son had been watching all night. He had watched his father step into the batter's box. He had watched the crowd react. He had watched innings unfold with the kind of focused attention that children reserve only for things they truly love. And like most children in that ballpark on that night, like most children across the country who had grown up watching baseball highlights on small screens, he had one player he had been watching most carefully. Number 17. After the game, in that tunnel, the paths crossed. Ohtani was walking. The way players walk after a long night, not rushed, not performing, just moving. Still in uniform. still carrying the weight of a full game on a body that had already given everything it had for 6 innings. And then he stopped. Because there was a boy. Small. Quiet. Standing next to his father, who happened to be the first baseman of the team that had just lost to him. A boy who looked up the way children look up at things that feel too big for the moment, with something between awe and stillness. Ohtani didn't keep walking. He stopped. He turned. He crouched down to be at eye level with the boy. What was said in that tunnel has been shared by those who were there. And when Schwarber spoke about it afterward, his voice carried something that had nothing to do with the loss. Something that a father feels when his child is treated not as a footnote to someone else's night, but as the most important person in the room. Ohtani spoke to the boy. Directly. Warmly. He didn't offer a wave from a distance or a signature scrawled quickly on a baseball. He gave the boy something that cannot be stored in a display case. He gave him his attention. He spoke about the game. About playing hard. About what it means to show up every single day and love what you do. And when he looked at the boy, he wasn't looking at him the way celebrities sometimes look at fans, through them, past them, with one eye already on the exit. He was fully present. Fully there. Fully in that tunnel with a child who would not forget this night for the rest of his life. Schwarber watched all of it. He had just lost. His team had just dropped a game in a pennant race that no one in that clubhouse was treating casually. And yet standing in that tunnel, watching the man who had hit the home run and driven in the run that buried his team, watching him speak to his son with that kind of genuine, quiet warmth, he felt something shift. He said afterward that it wasn't what he expected. That when you're on the opposing side, when you've just been on the wrong end of a dominant performance, you don't expect the moment after to feel like that. You expect tension. You expect the professional distance that the game demands. You expect to walk past each other with the kind of respect that exists between competitors who understand the rules of the space they're in. He didn't expect that. His son, who had been quiet with nerves all night, lit up. That was the moment Schwarber said he truly understood something he had already suspected but never seen up close. What makes Ohtani different isn't only what he does between the lines. It isn't only the exit velocity or the spin rate or the stolen bases or the 700th RBI. It's what he does when the game is over and nobody is counting anything anymore. It's who he is when there's no camera pointed directly at him. The Dodgers' 6-game winning streak will be in the record books. The home run will be in the highlights. The 700th career RBI will be in the history books alongside names that belong to the all-time conversation. But Schwarber didn't talk about any of that when reporters found him. He talked about his son. He talked about how the boy had been buzzing the entire car ride home. How he kept replaying what was said. How he asked questions that only a child asks, questions that cut right through everything complicated and land on the simple truth underneath. Why did he stop? Why did he talk to me? And Schwarber, the father, not the baseball player, Schwarber the man who has spent his life inside this game and knows how rarely moments like that actually happen, had to sit with that question for a moment before he answered. Because that's who he is. That was the whole answer. And it was enough. There is a version of greatness that is built entirely inside the stadium. That lives and dies by the statistics, by the contract, by the championship rings and the award trophies arranged on a shelf somewhere. That version of greatness is real. It is earned. It deserves the recognition it receives. And then there is the other kind. The kind that shows up in a dim tunnel after a long game. That stops walking when it sees a child. That gets down to eye level, speaks sincerely, and gives someone a memory that no trophy could replace. Shohei Ohtani, on the night he recorded his 700th career RBI, during a 6-game winning streak that had the whole league watching, chose to spend a quiet moment in a hallway with a boy who looked up at him like he was the biggest thing in the room. And in that moment, he was. Not because of the home run. Not because of the number on the scoreboard. Not because of the streak. Because of what he chose to do when the game was already over. That is the thing the scoreboard will never capture. That is the thing that stays.